Okay, today we're going to speak about medicine. First, let me just tell you what we are or not going to speak about. This is going to be part one. So today I'm going to speak just about what's considered edible or not edible for medicine. Part two will be two other issues that there are to speak about for medicine. I'm really going to talk about medicine for all year round, what makes it good or not good. There are some differences with Pesach. The dinim come out the same, not exactly, but drop almost the same. So there'll be, when things come up that are a little different for Pesach, I'll mention them, and there are definitely practical differences for Pesach and for year round, like what's chametz versus what's streif, that's different. So I'll try to mention here and there, but really I'm talking about year round. I'm not talking about take medicine on Shabbos, and I'm only talking about medicines that you take in your mouth, not like creams or suppositories or gastric tubes and things like that. Okay, that's the things I'm doing. And I'm going to use the word, if I remember, I'll keep using the word medicine, but the word, that means whether it's a medicine or a vitamin or a liquid or a solid or a prescription or not a prescription, that word just means everything medicinal. Okay, so I'll just use the word medicine just because it's easier for me to keep saying one or the other, but it means any of those things. Okay, so what's my next slide? Okay, so there are three things that we need to talk about today. I told you I'm going to talk about the first one, which is whether medicine is edible. In deciding about a medicine, we have these three things we have to figure out: if it's edible, the ingredient sensitive, and how ill the person is. Those all play a role into deciding whether the person can or can't take the medicine. Okay, so we talk about edible. So we could group things as far as being edible into three groups. The most obvious is the things that are edible. Rabbi Schwartz would say is if you like it, when you eat it, you enjoy eating it. You eat this thing, you swallow it, it tastes good, you like it, you get health benefit from it, etc. It's asur midaraisa. That's it. Isur midaraisa to eat something that would be treif, which would mean to say is if there's something edible, if I take a ham sandwich and somehow that's medicinally good for me, I can only eat that if I'm a chodesh b'sakana. Okay, well, how sick a person has to be, we'll get to it in the third part. If you someone open the door, but if something that's completely edible, it's asur midaraisa. If it's not kosher, then it's asur midaraisa to eat that thing. Okay, the next level down is when I eat something shloike derech achila, which is says I eat something that's edible, but I'm eating it in a not typical manner. So that's not considered midaraisa. Midaraisa, that's not considered eating. It's not considered eating in kiyum mitzvahs, like if you eat matzah, and it's not isser if you eat treif in an atypical manner. It's also not. Or you eat in Yom Kippur. Okay, and those are actually examples of the Gemara. The Gemara says that if you eat in Yom Kippur, if a person would eat this, I'm going to mention it now because it's going to keep coming up. If a person eats black pepper or oil or vinegar on Yom Kippur, then midaraisa he hasn't been over nisser because nobody eats vinegar straight. Okay, so it's completely edible. There's nothing not edible about it. It's edible. But people, if you eat black pepper straight, that's like a derech achila, and you're not over an isser midaraisa, and you're not mekayim mitzvah either if you eat something like a derech achila. Okay. Now, but midrabanan, though shloike derech achila is asur. Okay, so for example, the Gemara says if you put something treif and you wrap it up in, more doesn't use the word paper, but essentially what we would say, wrap it in paper, so you ate it like a derech, and that person is only asur midrabanan. Okay, and of course that's going to make a difference for us. And our last group, which is we're going to spend more time talking about today, is things that are not edible. Something that's not edible, that thing is has no issue to it.
Is there really such a Gemara about that? Or was that we learned it from matzah? We learned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the wrapping in paper is about matzah.
Right, so it doesn't say about Isser.
No, but by Isser, the Gemara says other cases of shloike derech achila, more too much eating on Yom Kippur. It says if you eat black pepper or you eat vinegar. No, not that I know. Yeah. Okay, and so when something is not royal achila at all, so if it's not the third group, if it's not royal achila at all, so then there's no Isser to eat that at all. We'll talk a second about a potential Isser Rabbanan, but there's no Isser to eat that at all because there's no Isser at all. The thing is not Isser anymore. It's lost. It's not Isser anymore. Okay, so our simple example. Okay, our simple example of things that are not edible is tablets that we're meant to swallow. Okay, we consider those to be inedible. so then they don't have any issur on them. Okay, so whatever's in them shouldn't make a difference, and there should be no issur on them. Okay, now,
that's a given that if it's a tablet, it's not edible.
Well, it's not. We take that as a given, just because I've bitten into tablets, and you could try it, and you can see that.
It could be the outer. It could be the outer layer is not edible.
But rather,
it depends what's inside.
It's very bitter.
It's the same thing.
Why would it be edible?
It's all the same. What's inside and outside? There's no inside and outside.
I
think he's talking about capsules.
I'm talking about tablets. You see, there's a lot of lines on that. You see, there's a lot of lines on that chart. We're gonna fill them all up, okay? But for now, it's in alphabetical order, so T is towards the bottom, okay? So we're gonna fill them all up, okay? Okay. So now, the Chavdas says there's a qualitative difference between something that's not royal achila and what's shloik derech achila. I told you midoraisa, both of those you're not over for eating them, okay? But the Chavdas says there's a big difference between them, and that is something that's not royal achila is not asur at all. There's no isser on it, as opposed to some shloik derech achila. The thing is isser, the food remains isser, but I'm not over anything for eating it. Okay, but the food remains isser. Like the example I told you, the one said you had vinegar. Okay, vinegar is still royal achila, but the eating of it, if I swallow a cup of vinegar straight, that wasn't over an issue for swallowing it. But the thing is usher itself. And the big nafkamina for us is L'Gabi Pesach. Okay, because on Pesach, not only is there an issue to eat chametz, there's an issue to own chametz also. So if I have chametz that would be eaten shloike derech achila, if we come up with a situation like that, it's shloike derech achila. So the eating it, I won't be over the issue to eat that chametz, but I won't be able to keep it. Okay. What did you say? So let's not talk about hana. Maybe that's considered isra hana to eat it because if I get the benefit, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But we'll focus just on the owning of it. So you say is this thing to eat it would be shloike derech achila. You'd be allowed to eat it because of the chametz shabai. But wait a second, you can't own it either. Okay, so but as opposed to if it's not royal achila at all, not royal achila at all means nothing. So that you could keep it also. There's no reason not to keep it either. Okay, it's not isra. There's no isra to it. Okay, that's not good. Okay, so now. Let's move to another situation. I told you that if something's not royal achila, then there's no isurim on it. Okay, but there is something called Ach'shvei. You've probably heard of it. Something called Ach'shvei, it says like this. It says something's not royal achila, but I chose to eat it. So midrabanan we say is, hey, if you're eating this thing, it must be that you consider it edible, right? So we look at you and say, why else are you taking this thing? Why else would you be swallowing this thing if not that, or chewing it if not that you think it's edible? So everybody else thinks it's not edible, but you must think that it is edible. So actually, by you doing it, you show that you consider it to be edible, and therefore midrabanan, it is considered royal achila, meaning you over an isser. Okay, meaning the over the isser achila for eating this. Really, it's not royal achila. Really, there's no isurim on this food, but you're eating it sort of pulls it back from being. Not royal achila. Okay, now when we say, okay, so at first when you hear that, you say to me, wait a second. So I just told you that your tablets are considered inedible and you can eat them no matter what. Well, so then that doesn't sound right because there's issur d'rabbanan to eat them because of Ach'shvei. Ach'shvei means is that if I swallow it, if I eat it, then I'm showing that I consider it to be worth something. Okay, now. The fact that I swallow it, I used that word by mistake. The fact that I swallow it doesn't take away from it. Okay, swallowing and eating are the same thing. You don't say since I swallowed it, that didn't show I eat it. No. From the Gemara says bala matzi yatzar. If you swallow something, it's just as good. You don't have to chew something to be makayim mitzvah or to be over an isser. So swallowing it is not an excuse. Swallowing it doesn't get you off the hook. But Ach'shvei says if you eat something that's not royal achila, midarbanan it's if it is royal achila. So that's sort of like pulling the rug out from under what we're trying to say. If it's because of Ach'shvei. Okay, so the reason why we don't follow that, we don't consider that to be true, is because everybody assumes that there's no Ach'shvei when it comes to medicines, and there's two reasons given. Okay, no Ach'shvei when it comes to medicine. Meaning, if I were to take a piece of chazer, what do you say?
Everyone.
I say it's accepted.
Everyone assumes.
No, everyone who I know, all my friends.
No,
the ones count.
That's right. So I'll tell you. Okay, so there's two.
Chicago Poskim consensus based on the CRC letter over your face.
Okay. We'll blame it on some dead people. Just give me a second, okay? Okay. So the first is Ramosha says like this. It's really earlier than him, but Ramosha says that people will note as that. It comes from earlier than that. But Ramosha says the Ach'shvei means is the fact that I eat it shows that I consider it to be royal achila. Why else would I be eating it? He says here we have another explanation Okay, it's based on what you're watching. You're watching me eat this, must be I consider oil achila. He says here, no. Watching you eat it doesn't say you must consider oil achila. Watching you eat it shows you must want to get healthy. People do all kinds of crazy things in order to get healthy, right? Surgery, we eat horribly tasting stuff. We have all kinds of things that done to us for our health. So the fact that I ate it doesn't mean that I consider it to be royal achila. It just shows that I want to get healthy. So the fact that I'm eating this Ach'shvei doesn't work over here. Ach'shvei is the things that you eat when you're when you stop eating it. When you're eating for another reason, then that's how we translate what you're doing. Not that you consider royal achila. That's what Moshe says. And the Chazon Ish says, well, the Ach'shvei, he says maybe he doesn't talk about Ramosha's idea that there shouldn't be Ach'shvei at all in medicine, but he says the only thing that I want is the active ingredient. Okay, I don't want the inactive ingredients. I'm just stuck with them. So so the fact that I'm eating it only shows me that I care to have the active part of it. The inactive parts don't count, and this is usually what's asur or what's chametz is going to be the inactive parts. So. There's no Ach'shvei on those. Those are just I'm stuck with that. I have no other way to get this thing down other than that. So we only say Ach'shvei on the part that I want, not on the parts that I don't want. Okay. If you remember, a long time ago, I told you there's an nafkamina between them. Not nafkamina. There's something called premerin, which is a contraction from the words pregnant, mere, urine. Okay, but just premerin sounds so much nicer, and it's considered to be some kind of medicinal benefit, whatever that is. According to Chazon Ish, here the active ingredient is the thing the thing that would be treif, and here that's something you want. What did you say? No, we talked about that whether
oat fiber, like fiber pills or something. Someone needs to get more fiber.
So, but it had to be treif. If she's saying if we chametz, okay, correct. That could be also probiotics. Maybe has to do. Yes. So sometimes the active ingredient would be treif for chametz. That would be enough community. Okay. Now, so within our world, we could say even if maybe not everybody agrees with both of these, right? We assume like Ramosha that it goes on all the parts of it. Okay, and maybe other people would say like Chazon Ish that only for the active, we only care about only the inactives we could ignore because of that. Okay. So now, but even now that I just told you that, all my friends, everyone who we know agrees that we don't say Ach'shvei for medicines. But there's a nafkamina in vitamins, okay? And here Rabbi Schwartz said, now Rabelski said that Ramosh said it also. We don't have it in print, but he said Ramosh said like this also. But Rabbi Schwartz for sure said it was that this idea that there's no Ach'shvei for medicine doesn't apply to a vitamin, because when I have a vitamin, an example we give is if I'm having a vitamin C tablet. Really, I really could have just eaten an orange, and I would have gotten the same vitamin C. So eating the vitamin C tablet is just basically to me this is an orange. So when I'm putting this thing in my mouth, don't say I'm doing something to help my health, and therefore I'm not trying to consider it achila. The fact that I'm eating this is as if I'm eating an orange, and that makes it Ach'shvei. There is Ach'shvei. So even though it's in a pill form, the person is because we would say it's Ach'shvei because it shows that the person really wants this. He considers it like food.
You have to eat like 5 oranges or 10 oranges, something.
So as long as it's within reason, in other words, as in what I'm eating is a reasonable amount. Let's say if you said 1 or 2 oranges, but if it got to the point, let's say the person has a deficiency. Okay?
I'm saying any vitamin C pill usually is the amount of vitamin C is.
I don't know. That's maybe true. I don't know the answer. I don't know if that's true or not true. But he did say if there's a point that you'd have to, let's say you have to eat 40 oranges in order to get this amount of vitamin C. He says then it's not a food. I mean, that's like ridiculous. Nobody can eat 40 oranges. So I don't know how much is in a pill. Okay, you could figure that out first. No, really, maybe you're right. That how much is in a pill compared to how much I would eat. Maybe that's okay. But so this is I'm going to tell you the other side in a second. Well, those who disagree, but that's actually CRC's position that if it's on a vitamin, we don't say Ach'shvei, and therefore it's in a pill. It needs to have hashgacha. But
we do say
what do you say? We do say. I'm sorry. We do say Ach'shvei, and therefore it needs hashgacha. But there's 2 groups of exceptions, so to speak. Okay, one is that's only true if the active ingredient, if the vitamin, so to speak, is something that's kosher sensitive. But let's say the person wants to take magnesium or iron or I don't know, some other examples, caffeine, okay? So it's sort of like it could have been a food, it's a food replacer, but the thing itself is not kosher sensitive, so we don't have to worry about that. It's not that vitamins automatically need to have hashgacha. It's vitamins. We say Ach'shvei on the active ingredient. Okay, well if the active ingredient is not kosher sensitive, then no problem. Then you can have it.
What would be a classic example of active ingredient that is kosher sensitive?
Like vitamin Z. That's why you use it as an example. Okay, so vitamin Z is something that we say needs hashgacha. So we tell them that doesn't hashgacha, but he says I want to take a magnesium pill. I mean, if magnesium is the only active ingredient, then we say we're good. Okay, or vitamin. Okay, now another nafkamina is that multivitamins or prenatals. We also tell people they could take them, and that's even though they have lots of food replacers in them, and that's because when we dug into it, we found out that. The ingredients that are in there, most of the ingredients are this first group, which is there like things like magnesium that don't need hashgacha anyhow, and the ones that were kosher sensitive were always batal. Okay, we went through a whole different bunch of them, and the ones that were kosher sensitive ended up being batal, almost everything in there was not kosher sensitive, and therefore, so for prenatals and multivitamins, which is the same thing, both of them are just these things with a zillion vitamins in them. Those people, if they're in tablet form, we tell people they can have them.
So even though usually if something is in there which is bottled, we don't tell people they can have them. For vitamins, it's different.
If something is bottled, would we tell someone they can have it? Yeah, we wouldn't give hashgacha to it. But if something is,
or we recommend that.
if something is mutter, if it's mutter, it's mutter. We're not giving hashgacha to it.
Recommending is different than giving a shot.
Yeah.
If you consider bottle, even though the person specifically wants that vitamin.
Yes, that's a schmooze for a different time. Yes, we wouldn't worry about it. Yes. Okay, now, but I just told you, I just told you what Rabbi Schwartz said, and which is what Sirsi does. You should just know, but Rabbi Shachta didn't understand it. He didn't agree with it, and he says the idea of we don't say Ach'shvei because the person when I take a medicine, I'm not trying to show that I'm doing something for my. I'm not showing that I consider royal achila. I'm doing something for my health. He says the same thing should be for the vitamin also. I'm not doing it because. I'm not doing something because I'm trying to eat an orange. I'm doing something because I want to make myself healthy. And someone consider that that's beneficial for me. He didn't think that we should say that Ach'shvei should apply that. He didn't see it any different than medicine. Okay, again, that's not what the Sirsi says. I'm just telling you there's another side. Okay, so we got one more on the very bottom. Okay. Okay.
Besides Rabbi Shachta and Rabbi Schwartz, like in the rest of the world, is this a unique position of the CRC, or do other people have?
So I told you, Rebelski said Rav Moshe held with the same way Rav Schwartz said. I don't know what other people think about that. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I don't. Okay.
I've also said from Moshe regarding specific vitamins also.
For vitamins, like Rav Schwartz said, yeah.
Even if the format that the vitamins in is not edible, like
that's the whole point. The whole question is when it's not edible. When it's edible, there wouldn't be. The question is, should we say Ach'shvei on it or not? That comes. We start off with it must be inedible, but should I pull it out of being inedible by saying Ach'shvei on it? So that's the shayla when it is inedible. Okay. Okay. Our next question is Gelcaps. There's two kinds of Gelcaps. There's hard Gelcaps and soft gels. Okay. Hard Gelcaps are the ones that look like two pieces stuck together. Okay, and inside some kind of a powder, like it looks like two pieces that are stuck together. And the soft gel looks like a mini football. Okay, and it's solid or appears to be solid. And on the inside is some liquid. Okay, that's used as soft gel because it holds a liquid in it. Because you can't get out. It's a solid piece with the liquid injected into it, and it holds the liquid inside. Okay, now both of them, when you look at them, most people look at them, they say, well, it looks like a piece of rubber. Okay, so of course it's inedible. Obviously, it's not edible. Look at the thing; it looks like a piece of rubber. Okay, but that's not exactly true. And that's like this. To tell you why I don't think it's true, we have to back up a second. And that's like this. Torah says we can't own on Pesach chametz and sa'ar. So the Gemara says the reason why it specifically has to mention sa'ar means sourdough. Okay, sourdough meaning we take dough and we let it sit a little bit.
I think everybody knows what sourdough is.
Okay, and it just gets more and more yeast builds up into it. So the Gemara says the reason why it has to tell us why the Torah has to say sa'ar, just another kind of chametz. I mean, the flour and water mixed together for more than 18 minutes. What's the problem? So the Gemara says is because it's not royal achila. Okay, because sa'ar, it's called sourdough in English because it's really sour. Okay, it really tastes awful. Okay, it's not royal achila. Okay, so why is it usher? If it's not royal achila, I've been telling you for the past 19 minutes that things that are not royal achila don't have yisurim on them. So the different Gemara says the reason is because it's royal chamer but kam isas acheres. Okay, because you could use it to be mechamer of the isas. So most people who read that Gemara would say is, oh, what the Gemara means is, even though it's not royal achila, still it's also because it's like a super chametz. It can make you make other things into chametz, and someone's like a super. That's most people read the Gemara like that. Okay, but Chaim says no, that's not true. He says it's not what the Gemara means to say. The Gemara is not giving us a rule that's a chametz specific rule that it could be royal chamei means it's a super chametz, so it's also it like breaks through, and even though it's not royal achila, it's still also. He says no, it's the Gemara is teaching us that to royal achila doesn't just mean is I can take a bite out of it. Royal achila means is it's used as a food ingredient. Something that's used as a food ingredient is also considered royal achila. So when you take sourdough and you put it into your bread, it's a perfectly fine ingredient. Okay, and therefore it's not something specific to chametz. It's teaching us a rule that things that are used as ingredients are also edible, even if you can eat them ourselves, which is reminiscent of what I said to you beforehand. The Gemara says is black pepper and vinegar and oil are considered royal achila. It's just like a derech when you eat it, but it's royal achila because nobody can eat black pepper, just like you can't eat sourdough. But you can use black pepper as in a food, so it's considered royal achila. It just again, if you eat it straight, if you eat sourdough on Pesach, you're not over the issa d'oraisa. If you eat it straight, because it's not royal achila. But is it usher? Is it chametz? Of course it's chametz. It's isser. It just again the technicalities. If you eat it, you wouldn't be over. But if it's a plain old food, so of course it's considered royal achila.
You're not over because it's not derech achila.
If you eat it, you're not over on the technical issue of achilas chametz. Are you for only chametz? Of course, because it's not derech achila. That's the sort of side person.
It has the isser.
But it is isser, and the Torah says so. The Torah says don't own it because owning it has to do with is it royal achila or not? Yes, it's royal achila because you could use it as an ingredient. Okay, so Gelcaps is our example of that thing. Okay, because the Gelcaps, the hard gels are just pure gelatin. Okay, they take something that looks like a pen or a pencil, they dunk it into the gelatin and it just hardens on it. Okay, just a piece of pure gelatin. And the soft gels are gelatin mixed with glycerin and sorbitol and some other regular food ingredients. And if you take this stuff, if you take the hard gel, just the capsule part of it, and you put it into your yogurt, it'll thicken your yogurt just like any other gelatin will. Okay, it's a pure ingredient. Okay, so you say it looks like a piece of rubber. Okay, so what looks like a piece of rubber? But it's a food ingredient, just like sa'aras and just like black pepper and vinegar that I keep telling you about. Okay, so therefore,
You can melt it back down even after they make it into the.
you don't have to melt it; just put it into water. Okay, and
It'll thicken the water.
that's what it is. It's the same gelatin that you put in your marshmallows.
It's usually liquid, no?
What'd you say?
Isn't gelatin usually liquid, or this is hard?
Gelatin? I don't know if it's usually.
companies is powder.
Yeah, everyone. Okay, so like this. So it's considered royal achila, but if you swallow the gel cap, the hard gel or the soft gel, it doesn't make a difference. If you swallow it, then it's like derech achila. Not because you swallow it. Remember, I told you, swallowing doesn't get you off the hook. Doesn't make achila. But it's eating something that's a food ingredient. Eating it by itself, that's not the normal way to eat things. It's like derech achila. Okay, it's like swallowing oil. Okay, it's a food item, but it's like derech achila. So it's only asim d'rabbanan. Okay, so the gel cap, that's where we put a gel cap into being something that's asim d'rabbanan to eat it because it's shloik derech achila. Okay, so then we'll find out in the next time why it makes a difference. But you can imagine already that being d'rabbanan is different than being a d'oraisa. But it is isser, it remains isser, but it would be shloik derech achila to swallow it. Okay, to consume it. Okay, it has nothing to do with swallowing. As eating it straight, that's what you're doing. You're not eating it mixed with other foods. You're not eating it in a marshmallow. You're eating it by itself. That's shloik derech achila. Okay, our last thing we have to talk. Okay, so look at that. Fill in some more lines over here. Okay, okay. So that's the bottom one is because there was someone who said, oh, they thought that Gelcaps were included in tablets. Someone important thought that. So now we have to tell the tablets doesn't mean not Gelcaps. Okay, the tablets and Gelcaps are not the same. Okay. Our last thing. Our last thing we have to go through is.
So the gel cap is also swallowable.
What did you say?
I'm confused. Gel cap, tablet gel cap should also is swallowable too.
Non-gel.
Right?
Right, so it should say swallowable, non-gel cap. Okay, so by making two lines, it makes you think, what did he mean when he said swallowable and gel cap?
Dry powder. I mean, something. What's that called when they press powder? That's one tablet, and the other tablet is gel cap.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Contrasting similar.
So you work with food, but I'm not sure everybody else understands that as a pressed powder what that means. But maybe we think of a better way. Maybe we'll think of a better way to
I
say
think
it.
people can figure it out.
Take pictures of
Press powder.
So by making the different types of tablets, there's two more tablets coming to be. Sorry, they're gonna fill in there. Maybe that help you see the contrast. I don't know.
We've heard of complexity. What about these tablets that have cover, like a sweet covering over it?
Okay, so I didn't mention it. Usually there's not a chametz or treif issa to it. No questions to it.
So therefore, to get a swallow with that.
Yeah, just a sweetness or something like that. Usually nothing serious.
Like Advil.
It doesn't help them break
Yeah.
down.
But
Does that make it more?
so there are some that are more sensitive. It's a rare thing that the ones that are sensitive. So those you'd have to pay attention to. If they were really sensitive, meaning if it had a flavor, usually just sugar that's on there, just to make it easier to get it through
Yeah, why
your
did they put it
throat.
on there? Is it cosmetic reasons or for
It's
eating
easy to
reasons?
swallow.
It makes it easier. Yeah, it makes it.
Why? Slides down?
No, not because it's no. Slide down. There are things on that make it slide down. They're not royal lechila. There's waxes on it that makes it slide down better. But there's on occasion it comes with things that are competitive. Okay, well, in other words, if there are 5 brands making acetaminophen, my brand, if I want to distinguish, I want you to buy mine instead of his, then I'm going to put flavor onto mine. If it's something that no one else is making, I don't have to compete.
What does it do then? What's the reason they put it on there?
It tastes
People
good.
buy it.
It makes people say,
So
I'd rather.
that might be just cosmetic. That's really just, I don't know. It makes it easier to swallow. I don't know.
No, it doesn't physically make it easy to swallow. It makes it
Taste-wise.
reasonably more desirable to
It's
swallow.
not considered it's not considered not royal achilo, even though it's mixed. It's like, at what point do you say that when you put in an ingredient?
So
It's like a 1-second candy.
So it's really the Chav's Das. Rabbi Schwartz said the same thing. It's really the Chav's Das says. He says if I take something that's not royal achila and I put sugar on top of it, it doesn't become royal achila. Okay, if it's not royal achila,
No,
put
the
it,
question is, let's say the sugar is isser, right? And you take something.
right. So again, so this is very unusual, but it happens. There are some that actually have flavor onto it. So we'd say, oh, that's sensitive.
Is that sensitive, or once it becomes part of something which is not royal achilo, so then it becomes not royal achilo?
That's what I'm saying. It's not making it royal achila. It's just putting.
No, but the flavor itself. If the flavor itself is sensitive, and now it's on top of something which is not royal achilo, maybe it's not sensitive anymore because now it's not royal achilo.
It's not sensitive. It becomes unsensitive.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure. Okay, let me do my last part for today, and that is about liquids and chewables. Okay, so liquid and chewable medicines usually are okay. You could get them down, especially the small amounts that you take it about. You don't take big amounts at a time. You can get it down, but it's not really as tasty as a soda or tea or something like that. And most people wouldn't take it if they had a choice. If they had a choice of different things to take, they wouldn't be their first choice of something they wanted to eat. And another angle is that typically they have things in them that would be not healthy for you if you took a lot of it. Okay, so like if I drink this seltzer over here, I'm assuming that there's nothing in that I could drink a whole bucket of it, and nothing's gonna happen to me. Not bad for me. Or if I drink a whole cup full of cough medicine, then the medicinal part is not good for me to drink a lot of it. So does that somehow maybe play into, is it royal achil or not royal achil? Okay, so there's different thoughts about this, different opinions on this, and seemingly there's din Shulchan Aruch about it. Okay, Shulchan Aruch is in Hilchos Chametz, in Tafim Beis. It's talking about things that are not royal achila, and it says like this: Davar shenisar b'chametz. If you have something that has chametz mixed into it, and ve'ena ma'achal adam klal, he says, or she'ena ma'achal klal adam kagoin theriak kiyitzabay. If we have time, we're not going to have time, but theriak is an interesting thing to talk about. So if she'ena ma'achal klal adam, then the din is afal b'shamutal l'kaimai. It's considered. I'm now translating what it says here. Okay? You have to just believe me. Even though it's mutal l'kaimai, meaning it's not considered royal achila, so you're allowed to own it on Pesach. Also, achli on Achar Pesach because of Ach'shvei. Okay, so the asal achli is because of the Ach'shvei. You have to believe me for now. That's because of Ach'shvei, but it's mutal l'kaimai because it's not considered royal achila. Okay, so the question is like this: why does he say two different things? He says it has chametz ena ma'achal adam klal or she'ena ma'achal kol adam. Well, what's the difference between one and the other? Either it should say not royal achila, and then the din is that it's mutter to keep it. What's the difference between ena ma'achal kol adam or ena ma'achal adam klal? So Mishnah Berurah says the difference is like this: ena ma'achal adam klal means is it's completely not edible. He says oy she'ena ma'achal kol adam means is the only person who would take it is someone who's sick. It's edible. Person who's sick would eat it. It's okay. It's not completely inedible, but it's a kind of thing you'd only take it if you were sick. Then you take it, and if you're healthy, you wouldn't choose to take it. Okay, that sounds awful like our liquid and chewable medicines. for regular people would not choose to have it. If I offered you, liquid motion, you wouldn't choose it over Pepsi. But if you're sick, then you'll take it. So that sounds like this case. Okay, so it sounds like what the Shulchan Aruch here is describing is, and that's considered not royal achila. Okay, that's considered not what?
I was just saying my kids like some of the medicines.
Okay. So wait a second. So the Shulchan Aruch sounds like he's describing something like this in between case, and he's saying it's not considered royal achila. Okay, now, some people say, okay, it's true. That's what Shulchan Aruch is saying, but our medicines are way beyond that. Okay, we got way past that. Okay, our liquid medicines are not even what he was talking about. Our stuff is he's talking about like the amount you have to have to stuff it down, force yourself. You can take it if you're sick, you take it, but you have to force yourself to take it. But not like his kids who love taking Motrin. So that's not what he was talking about. Some kids they think bubblegum medicine is wonderful. They love taking that. They think that's fun. Okay. So some people think like that, and okay, there's a difference of opinion about how to treat this, okay? And there's also there are probably medicines that are each extreme. Okay, someone yesterday, 2 days ago, called out they had to take some kind of a liquid, something for a test, and we told them yes, they could take it, and they told us later that they took it and it was absolutely awful. They could barely get it down. Okay, so that's probably qualified for everyone would probably think that is what the Shulchan Aruch says. And then the other extreme are some things that taste so good that people love to take them, okay? And then they want to take them. So it's a question. It's really a question where to put these liquids and chewables. As a rule, we just assume, from a blanket perspective, we treat them as if they're royal achila. Okay, we treat them not like we would be saying over here. And sort of, I'm not sure if it's loy plug or if it's a true position that we think it's not royal, that it's royal achila. But we treat them like our okay. But I'm telling you, there's a reason to argue at least the worst taste, the ones that taste not as good, that they should be considered maybe not royal achila. Okay, so here's the rest of my filled in the lines over here.
Can you add something bitter to post-market to make it not royal achila?
Can I make it not royal achila?
Can I buy one of the non-common approved liquid medicines and add something horrible to it?
So do you want your kids to get better or not?
What?
I said you want the kids to get better or not?
I don't want them to enjoy getting better. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you could do that. They actually there was a time.
It's not bittul.
It's not. It's a question if that's because they're bittul achila to make something not royal achila. Okay, that's a question. There was a time that the pharmacy would actually put in flavor for you if you wanted to. You still could get it, but it was a time that flavor put in was actually Star Case certified. Okay, I don't believe it is anymore. Unless you go to the pharmacy, you say, you're giving me this whatever medicine, my kids are not going to like it. Could you put in some strawberry flavor into it? And they put stuff in that was like really tasted good, and that extra flavor actually was under hashgacha. Anyhow,
Our pharmacies still do that.
they still do it, just not under hashgacha. Just not. So it's a. Is it okay? So we have to wait for the next time to find out whether you'll take if it's not kosher. That's get to next time. What? We think this. Anyhow, so we got here our liquids and our chewables, and our dissolving tablets, which is like a chewable, and effervescent tablets, also like that. Hard word to say. And powders.
Wait, the effervescent tablets are edible?
What is an effervescent tablet? What is it? You put it into water, and then it dissolves and comes into a drink that you can then drink. Okay, so it's edible. That's what you do with it. You drink it. Right. That's
what. I would make something edible just because it dissolves into water. I mean, if I take sand and I put it into water.
No, it dissolves. After it dissolves, then you drink it as a regular drink. It becomes just part of the thing.
And a tablet wouldn't.
A tablet? Would it? I don't know what would happen if you dropped into it. We could try that if you want. You do this at home. You try this at home. But it wouldn't make it more edible. It's just now mixing, like he said, mixing sand into water. But when you mix the effervescent tablet into it, it becomes now just a regular drink.
Because it got dissolved, that's the difference. If I take something which is dissolvable but it's completely not edible, it dissolves into water.
No, because it really is edible. It really is edible. That's just the way that you convey it to you. They're just, instead of giving you a bucket, they give you just a little thing and you can put it into your own water. It's just
like instant medicine, basically.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell you to make a whole cup of something that tastes absolutely miserable. They only do it to things that they can manipulate to taste good and drinkable.
Okay. And then powders, usually they're edible, but not necessarily. And I guess that depends on how you think. Okay, so
why is powder edible? Because it makes sense with something?
Usually they tend to be things that are edible. Yeah, they mix them with food. What?
What's a powder?
like Miralax, like fiber, things like that, powders.
Nobody has to taste the powder straight, right? They
Mix it in a drink.
mix it
You
with
mix it into a
something.
drink, yes. Okay, so so we're gonna stop here. I'll leave you if you want to cliffhanger. What I didn't get to tell you which is, if you can think about it. Oops, going the wrong way. The Shulchan Aruch said that his case here that he's talking about, that the din where he says it's not royal achila, and he says also achar pesach, which is meaning that's Ach'shvei. Also achar pesach, you can't eat it on Pesach because of Ach'shvei. He's talking about kagoin theriac. Okay, theriac is a medicine. Okay, so I told you the whole time that medicines there's no Ach'shvei on it. That there's no Ach'shvei. The din of Ach'shvei that brought Shulchan Aruch is talking about medicine. Theriac is a medicine. Okay, it's brought the Gemara. It was an old known thing people use for medicine. So if theriac is a medicine, I told you that there's no Ach'shvei on medicines. The din of Ach'shvei is on the same line. I mean, on the next line of mine over here, on the same line as Ach'shvei. You could think about that.